love and peace. We've already went over this nationality and international law. Discussion on the report of the committee appointed by the Executive Committee of the Society for the Study and the Status of Stateless Persons. And they're speaking about nationality in international law. Your status, who are you? Are you a color? Are you a white? Or do you have a nationality? Because they're speaking of stateless persons. As regards the problem of the present large number of stateless persons scattered throughout the world, and that even means in the Americas, insofar as they are long-term refugees. Because bottom line, those who call themselves white came to the Americas in two ways. Either their ancestors were doing colonial operations and colonizing by force, or they was brought here, believe it or not, or know it or not, as a slave. Not only melanated people was enslaved, all people was enslaved. The solution of their problem cannot be sought, first of all, in the legal field, because legal is not lawful. It is rather an economic and social problem. 3 solutions will offer themselves after the war for the stateless persons. They're letting you know where all of this stuff is heading. This stuff is just not happening as it's happening. This is a mechanism that they have done. He will either be able to remain in his country of refuge and legal absorption, and that's what the Europeans or the ones who call themselves white is going through right now. The same as the ones that are being misnomered with the names that allude to slavery, like black. He will either be able to remain in his country of refuge and legal absorption. That means being taken advantage of by fines, fees, taxes, i.e. the acquisition of the nationality of the state of refuge. You acquiesce into your nationality. Or he will be re-immigrated overseas, and there he will be admitted like any ordinary alien immigrant who can obtain naturalization, which is what you're doing in the Americas right there again. Or else he will be repatriated back to his country of origin, and it will be incumbent upon the International Refugee Authority of the post-war period to see to it that besides economic rehabilitation, he will regain full-pledged nationality status. And nationality means you throw away that color game, that white game, and you get your nationality. It ties you back to your land of origin. And the economic rehabilitation is from you being on your land of origin, being backed by the resources. If you're on foreign land, you have no resources because you're on foreign land. But if you're on your land of origin, you're backed by full faith and credit by all the resources, the gold, the silver, all of that. Whatever little portion or parcel of land that you are able to obtain in your own land of origin, not in a foreign land. We were set to be in Europe, not America. Our ancestors derived from what is modernly known as Austria, Hallstatt, or the Kelchos Mountains or the Caucasus Mountains. Now, those that want to say they're Irish, they're only speaking of the time when they was brought off of the coast to be enslaved. Again, with Scottish, they call themselves Scottish after the Scotch whiskey. So they're calling themselves basically alcoholics, but them as well. Scottish, which is really tied with England and Britain. But again, Ireland, that part of land was for you to be taken out of slavery. Your main land of origin is the alpine pastures of what's known as Hallstatt, or the Kelchos or Caucasus Mountains. Nationality is of paramount importance to the realization of fundamental rights, and that's trop versus duels. But I want to speak about you don't even know your nationality. There is a day coming soon that you'll have to say what your nationality is. And if you say you're white, they know immediately they can socially absorb you and take advantage of you because you didn't figure out thyself. I would like to speak about Noble Drew Ali. He stated if all other people must declare their nationality, it's only right that his people should. And that's the problem also with the European is we have called ourselves a color so long that we forgot the paramount importance of nationality. Not only by just earthly salvation, but for divine salvation, knowing who our great, 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 great ancestors was, and tying us back to the great Kernunos, the Messiah who came and gave the message and the portion of law, who's known as Tahuti, who's known as Noble Drew Ali, who's known as Yehoshua, who's known as all the other prophets and messengers who had to keep coming over and over again until we get this gnosis. We have already been forewarned in prophecy that the European is going to have to take on water because they are 3,000 miles away from home. And one day you'll see them coming down the street in boxcars and you'll be able to smell them before you see them, and they'll be going back home to Europe. The cure and the solution for what everybody sees today is what they're saying, the immigrants and all this etc. The three solutions: either you stay here, and if you're a foreigner, because being born here doesn't make you from here. I can be born and raised in Japan and I only speak Japanese, but I run around telling all of them that I'm Japanese. They know my bloodline is not Japanese. And that's the same way that all the nations of the world look at the pale-skinned ones that call themselves white in the Americas. They're calling themselves Americans, and everyone knows you're not American, you're European. But it's not your fault. You have just been miseducated and held on to your ancestors who wanted to use the white and black game to attempt to be superior over somebody who was calling themselves something inferior within their game. Because Judge Taney said a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. So then the Europeans that called themselves white and the Moors who were misnomered as black, they had a decision to make. Either we're going to continue this game or we're not. And some Europeans and some Moors said, all right, we're not going to continue with that game. But some of them did, and that's what started the Civil War. You had those in the South that wanted independence and nationality, and also there was Moors who was misclassified, and they figured out who they was. But then you had United States wanting to still operate, and they still operate to this day with the white and black caste system when nationality is of paramount importance. But they know what the mechanism is going to bring. Eventually, you're going to have to come before these magistrates and declare and proclaim your nationality, or be deemed as a color and taken advantage of. Just like Noble Drew Ali said, they'll treat you any which way they care to bestow upon you. I want to show the trial that I had, and this is basically how it's going to be.
Can the jurisdiction of the court be put on the record today? The jurisdiction of the court is that you are, I don't know whether you're a citizen or not. If you're not a citizen, then I may just inform immigration, and we'll make that determination.
Now, if I knew then what I know now, I would have stated that I demand the Foreign Refugee Authority be contacted so that I'll be repatriated back to my land of origin, receive economic rehabilitation, and full nationality status. See, he said the jurisdiction is that he was getting ready to say U.S. citizen. But then he said he didn't know if I was a U.S. citizen, which means he was admitting he didn't know if he had jurisdiction, which proves that he didn't. But they still railroad you. But like I said, if I knew then what I know now, I'd be back in alpine pastures in Stenik by Muron. I just wish for my bloodline and the Europeans to get back to Europe now as they're comfortable before they're made to have to when they don't have anything. Because you're living in a foreign land that has colonial operations going on by what's known as the 13 colonies. That makes you the subject. But if you just go around saying I'm not a U.S. citizen, you're stateless, but you're still stateless as a U.S. citizen because it's a corporation. Just wanted to put down these keys. One day you're going to have to face these Europeans, and they're going to figure out if you honor your ancestors or not. And you make your decision. But that's the way it's going to be. We're all going to have to go before some kind of tribunal, and they're going to try to figure out what's going on after this war for the stateless persons. I leave you in love and peace.
You can say it as much as you want it. You can scream it to the heavens. You can go out there and say, I'm Latif Bey. You can say it as much as you want it. You can scream it to the heavens. You can go out there and say, I'm Latif Bey. You can say it as much as you want it. You can scream it to the heavens. You can go out there and say, I'm Latif Bey.